Jesus Christ, this place is huge. I don't even know how I got in here. Oh, if I run into anything, at least I have this axe. Ah, shit. How do I turn this thing back on? Ah, there we go. Okay. Well, hopefully I don't run into anybody down here. Ah, what the... Did I get shot again? Horror is one of my favorite genres. Not because it scares the shit out of me or anything. Horror is just such an amazing place for interesting ideas. And horror is very subjective. Some people might be afraid of aliens or body horror, maybe religious themes. But one thing is undeniable. Horror games are, in my opinion, the best way to experience horror. Games like Outlast, Silent Hill, and Five Nights at Freddy's are just a couple examples of horror that truly shows what it is to be scared, to be isolated, and to be sexually attracted to an animatronic chicken. Since starting to make these video essays, I've been trying to find interesting horror games that don't necessarily make me scared, but games that make me think. Whether it's about its characters, its world, or even its gameplay, I think horror doesn't have to just be a PNG popping up on my screen when I lose. It can be deeper and can cover themes no other genre can cover effectively. And one of these games I found recently that has just infatuated me is called Repose. Repose is a game that kind of flew under the radar, with it only having 104 reviews on Steam and hardly any playthroughs or videos on YouTube, which is a real shame considering how cool this game is. Repose was developed by Attila Bertold-Bozo, a Hungarian artist and game developer. Attila's art is mostly based in sci-fi, with a lot of abandoned buildings and weird structures and interesting, monster designs. And published by Akapara Games, who have also published Rain World and Sorry We're Not Closed. Additionally, before Repose, Attila made another game called Out of the Blue. Out of the Blue was going to be an entry for Dungeon Crawler Jam 2022. But Attila ran out of time and still finished the game anyway, allowing him to experiment with different ideas and mechanics. And thank God he did, because without this initial concept, Repose would have never been made. Out of the Blue takes place entirely in a single labyrinth, with our protagonists not knowing how they got there. All they know is that they have a new home with a bed, teapot, and an infinite storage of bullets. Leaving our beautiful new home, we are thrust into the world, and we're only able to move 32 times. That's right, each step forward and backward we take uses up energy, and if we run out, we die and are sent back to the beginning of the game. Going through the first section of the labyrinth, we find some leaves and a handgun, which we can use all of our infinite bullets on. The handgun holds 10 bullets and can be restored at the bonfire. Shooting the gun also uses energy, because I guess this thing has a fucking battery in it. Going left from the bonfire, we can shoot a guard, and we also get attacked by an invisible enemy. Going through the second half of the labyrinth, we get water along with X-ray goggles that allow us to see invisible enemies. Using the water and the leaves we got earlier, we can make tea, which will fully fill up our energy. And we can now get to the end of the labyrinth, where we find the gatekeeper, who knows what's about to happen as we gun him down like a common street pig. Leaving the labyrinth gets us one of two endings, where we escape, but we learn that the outside world is completely empty. It's pretty simple, pretty easy, and you can beat the game in just about 3 minutes if you know what you're doing. Additionally, the game has an alternate ending. After getting the handgun, if you shoot this crack in the wall that's right from the bonfire, you'll meet a strange woman that tells you no matter what, do not kill the gatekeeper, or else the cycle will begin again. Playing through the rest of the game, we can find another crack in the wall towards the end. That allows us to bypass the gatekeeper entirely, and this time we end up escaping with the woman we met, and the game ends. Out of the Blue being a game jam entry is pretty obvious. The game is very short and very simple, but all of its mechanics are used in Repose. Starting up Repose, we immediately see a man get ripped apart by a bunch of tendrils. I can see nothing bad happening within the next 2 minutes. Picking up a light stick, we can see our surroundings, and we appear to be in some sort of labyrinth of wires, akin to the back of my computer, which could catch fire at any moment. Walking around, we eventually run into a humanoid creature with a bunch of wires sticking out of its head, and a shotgun, which he promptly shoots us with, causing us to wake up. Waking up, we are introduced to our coworker, Cynthia, who explains to us what is going on.
Hey. Hey. Finally. Sorry to wake you up, but you seem to be having a bad dream. And I have to brief you somehow, as it's your first day at the company. By the way, my name is Cynthia, I work in the front office. Nice to meet you. So, you're our new oxygen tank collector. Your job is to explore the facility and retrieve lost oxygen tanks. Don't ask me why. I've been working here for months now, and I'm not even sure what the company's name is. I don't think anyone here knows. Don't let the sign fool you. Cafe Void is just the surface. Anyways, that's the job. The cleaners will take care of the bodies. I know I just woke you up, but maybe you should get some rest before you start. The facility is huge. So try not to get lost. I'm here if you need help, or just someone to talk to. And I believe the closest town is about 34 kilometers away from here. We've really only got us. So, good luck. And please don't disappear on us like Aaron did.
Waking up in our bed that is outdoors for some reason, we are placed right in front of Cafe Void, a rundown coffee shop that looks like it's been abandoned for a number of years. Looking around, we can also see a fence with grass on the other side and an abyss of darkness. Looking at the bottom right, we can see our HUD, which consists of two things: a save code akin to a lot of older video games that will later turn into a compass, and an energy bar ripped straight from out of the blue. And like out of the blue, every step forward and backward uses up energy, while A&D just allows us to look around. We also start the game with two items: a light stick, which is used for brightening up darker areas, and an axe, which for now is our only way of defending ourselves. The axe requires a charge up that puts a circle on the floor. Enemies in this circle will die immediately upon us moving forward. Enemies in Repose don't technically have names, with the only reference to a title being guards, as seen in the trading cards on Steam. The trading cards also give us an insight into what these guards actually are. Turns out that they're reanimated corpses of the astronauts we've been told about, their only job being to stop us from reaching the bottom. Repose's main gameplay loop is exploring the facility while trying to manage stamina and switching tools to deal with different situations. Eventually, as we go further throughout the lobby, we also find a terminal. These terminals are found throughout the game and are used to access shortcuts back to the barnyard. At the end of the lobby, we also discover the thing we were sent here to find in the first place: an astronaut, or at least what used to be an astronaut, as this one is dead and just contains an oxygen tank for us to collect as we move to the underground city. Walking up to the city, we could see a giant expanse of buildings in the background. These buildings reminded me a lot of Roku City. I hate to make that comparison. After getting to the end of the path, we can finally see the entrance to the underground city. At the entrance, we find another dead astronaut. This time he's dangling from the ceiling with a cracked helmet, but his oxygen tank is still intact, which we collect. Just at the entrance of the city, a new bed waits for us. Resting here triggers a dream. Dreams in real life can be really random and sometimes silly, but occasionally you might be able to talk to people who maybe aren't around anymore.
Well, that wasn't a bad start. Sorry for my intrusion, but your dreams are the only place where I can talk to you. And you will need my help. Not everyone's going to be as friendly to you as Cynthia. You need to get to the data tunnels, but you won't be able to access them from here. Check out that abandoned building. There used to be a passage that leads to the tunnels. And try not to sleep for too long. Who knows what they're doing to you while you're not paying attention? I had no idea either.
Waking up, we can now explore the underground city, where it's pretty desolate, aside from the guards that stalk the halls. The only living person we meet is a man by the name of Joseph, who right now is sticking their arm into that fence. I don't even know how he managed to do that, because that's a wooden fence and he's messing with electrical stuff. Walking up to Joseph in game, we can actually talk to him for a bit and learn a little bit more about Aaron.
Hey, that's the entrance to the featureless maze behind me. I don't think anyone who went in there ever came back. I heard there's something really special in there, though. Maybe Aaron's wandering the maze, too. He was the guy who used to do the job you're doing now. He wasn't too talkative, and one day, he disappeared. Spent most of his time with Cynthia. Maybe she knows what happened to him. You should ask her, before whatever happened to him happens to you, too. Let me know if you find out anything.
To the left of us, we can actually see the entrance to the maze Joseph mentioned. You can go inside, but you won't get very far. The beginning of the maze has an electrical field that, when going through, will cause your energy cost to double. There's also a barrier which we can't pass without a key, and after going through a massive crusher, we encounter a new enemy type that we are unable to kill. It looks like the guards we've been fighting, but now has a giant eyeball covered in wires above it that is also packing, like, major heat. Dying in the maze will cause us to respawn at the bed, and since our path requires us going past the maze again, we get a new dialogue from Joseph.
You really went in the maze. I can see the blood on your suit. I told you, traversing the featureless maze is no small feat. Don't think you're quite there just yet. Don't think anyone is. If Aaron really went in there, probably dead by now.
Now this confirms a couple things for us. One, Aaron is definitely dead and is haunting our dreams, guiding us to something. And two, Aaron could be the person that we were playing as at the beginning of the game, or the person that got ripped apart by the wires, since the area looks a lot like the maze. Going past Joseph takes us on a new path that will eventually lead us to the building Aaron was talking about in our dream. Entering the building, the first thing we see is another bed just chilling out in the hallway for some reason, and naturally we lay down for a nap, and of course this causes another dream.
It's me again. What is it like to sleep in a dilapidated apartment building? You'll have to get used to sleeping in strange places. I want to remind you, it's still not late to stop, but I think it'd be worthy of your time if you followed me. I mean, if you don't want to end up like the astronauts, I'll help you escape, but you need to get to the bottom first. Search for the passage that leads to the data tunnels.
Going throughout the building, it genuinely feels like it's falling apart, with chunks of the walls missing, wires dangling from the ceiling, and patches of grass pushing through the tiles on the floor, almost like nature is trying to reclaim what was lost. Also, side note, can we take a moment to just appreciate the art style of this game? The fact this was made using just 2 different colors of pixels is actually insane. Going upstairs, we also find the first of many notes. These are found on the ground, with some giving context to what is happening, along with pieces of a code that we will discuss later. The first note that we find reads, Frida was named Employee of the Year last week. Good for her. But we haven't seen her since then. Strange. Joseph says it's been like this whenever someone got the award. I don't blame her. Digging through buildings like this is anything but pleasant. There's nothing but mold and trash. People took everything that wasn't nailed down. Though as useless as this building is now, it will outlive us all. I wonder what the astronauts were looking for here. One of the corpses is holding a piece of paper with this written on it. It looks like the fragment of a save code. It might lead to somewhere interesting if I manage to find the rest of it. As of now, we don't know the author of this note. All we actually know is they work for the company, they know Joseph, and someone by the name of Frida. The writing in this note also shows us that everyone working for this company truly doesn't know what it actually is or why they are there. Going back downstairs, we can find a similar but new mechanic, tea. This time, tea doesn't have to be crafted at a station. Instead, we encounter small stations marked with posters showing a giant eyeball staring at you, with a small table that contains a thermos of tea. Like an out of the blue, tea will fully restore all of your energy and heal certain status effects like the lightning. Additionally, tea also allows you to view where you are on the map. Climbing higher throughout the building, we can find a terminal that will unlock a door that was keeping us from leaving at the bottom. At the exit of the building, we find a portal that actually takes us to the other side of the entrance to the underground city, which then takes us to the exit, that being a hole in the floor that drops us down into the data tunnels. The first thing we encounter in the data tunnels is another fucking bed, because apparently someone made a trip to IKEA and just bought an assload of beds and just put them all over the place. Like before, sleeping in this bed causes another dream with Aaron.
So you made it to the data tunnels. Good. This is where your descent begins proper. Some of these creatures have a light bulb on their head, for some reason. Also, some extra limbs they scavenged from the trash. These creatures won't even flinch when you hit them with your axe. This is why I left you a handgun under the pillow you're sleeping on right now. Take it when you wake up. You're gonna need it. They're inside you already.
Waking up, we find out that Aaron was not lying. Under our pillow, we find a gun. This time, it works differently from out of the blue. Instead of running on both batteries and bullets, our gun only runs on our energy. Each shot using 5 energy, which we will now use on the new enemy type. Speaking of that new enemy type, we get introduced to them in our dream, and they are still humanoid, just like the regular guards, but this time they have a light bulb on the top of their head, along with some extra wires. Like Aaron said, these enemies can't be attacked with the axe. Doing that causes you to get caught in their wires, so instead we just have to shoot them in the head. Deeper in the tunnels, we find a new note that gives us a little insight into what our mysterious author thinks of this place. At first, I thought the data tunnels were just an elaborate maze of metro lines, but I haven't found any metro trains anywhere, or people. Its sole function seems to be to transfer data, but for some reason it took the vague shape of metro tunnels, and the data flowing through here is mostly gibberish to me. The whole level seems to exist just for the sake of it. Either that, or its true purpose is just beyond my comprehension. The data tunnels are one of the more confusing levels within Repose. It is exactly as described, deep dark tunnels under the ground that really don't seem to serve a purpose besides existing. There are no trains, no people, just a tea station, a bed, and a bunch of weird little guys. Eventually, after navigating a maze of terminals and doors, we find another hole in the floor, jumping down further into the facility and also getting another regularly scheduled meeting with Aaron.
Joseph's wrong, by the way. Cynthia won't be able to tell you what happened to me. I'm trying to talk to her in her dreams too, but no luck yet. You seem to be guiding her better than I am. After Joseph told her you went into the data tunnels, she started following you. She will catch up with you shortly, I hope at least. You're getting closer and closer to the bottom. Look for an elevator. I think it's somewhere in the south of the wire hub. From here on, it's the only way down.
The wire hub immediately sets the tone with an astronaut hanging in the corner lifeless. The name of this place is really fitting too, with every inch of the walls being covered in cables that twist and coil in every direction. What they're all connected to being a mystery to us. Right away we're also introduced to a new obstacle, spike traps that extend from the ground. Running into these while they're poked out will cause our character to lose 10 energy. Additionally, the wire hub is completely dark, meaning you need to use your light stick for better visibility and switch to the correct weapon when encountering enemies. Going further through this area, we encounter a new enemy, a mimic. These are pretty much what you would expect from any game with a mimic, copy objects to trick the player into interacting with them. This time it's taken the form of a terminal, and later on in the same level comes off as a bed. Running into them causes damage, but if you pay attention, you can see an eye popping up on the screen or spikes coming out of the bed. Hitting the terminal ones with our axe will allow the door associated with it to open. Going further into the wire hub, we find another new note laying on the ground that reads, "At this point, I'm not even sure what I'm looking for." This level seems to be the heart of the facility. The amount of data hoarded up here is enormous. You could reconstruct today's entire society from it. The wires go all the way to the surface. If you can sort it out, that is. Because the data is completely unorganized and the company doesn't seem to do anything with it. This isn't the bottom, however. There's still hope I find out what's the deal with the astronaut corpses if I just keep digging further. So whatever the data is, it's being piled up, not used, and spread throughout the entire facility, even at the surface level, almost like veins. Going further through the wire hub, we can encounter another note, this time giving us another piece of the mysterious save code. Okay, this is interesting. While most of the data here has been processed beyond the point I can't make sense of, I found a string that, for lack of a better word, feels familiar. This looks like it's part of the save code I found a fragment of in the abandoned building on level 2. I'll see if I can find or decipher the remaining digits. Going even further into the data tunnels, we encounter yet another new enemy. This time it's a bunch of monitors with legs that will hop around towards you after noticing your presence. These can be killed with either your axe or gun, but getting close to them can be dangerous due to the fact that they move. Up ahead we can find an elevator that takes us above the wire hub. Looking down we can see the massive labyrinth below, showing how much data this place is actually processing, to the point where it needs what can equivalent to an entire city just to hold it. Up here we also find a variant of the regular guards. These ones cannot be shot and instead have to be taken out using our axe. Our view up here is very short-lived as we fall down to the deepest parts of the wire hub. Down in the deepest parts of the wire hub, we can actually see these weird circular growths on the walls, almost as if it's a mutation within the wires. The jumping TVs also make a return to guard these lower corridors. Getting to the end of the lower levels, we were able to climb back up, allowing us to find a key card. This item allows us to get through the barriers like the one at the maze. Directly next to the key card is one of these barriers, and all we have to do to open it is shoot it with our gun. Additionally, after shooting the barrier, an eyeball will appear that's similar to the ones that we find at the T-stations. We can now get to the end of the wire hub, where we find 2 more dead astronauts, along with an elevator that takes us deeper down into the facility. Like the start of every other area, we eventually have a dream, but this time it's not Aaron that we meet, it's someone completely new.
Wow, the boss is right about you. You sure sleep a lot. That's right, I can appear in your dreams, too. They're company property, after all. I see Aaron left my keycard for you. How nice of him. It led you to my domain. Have fun. I'm gonna keep an eye on you.
If you remember earlier in the abandoned building, we found a note that mentioned someone named Frida getting Employee of the Year. This is her, or at least what's left of her. Unlike Aaron, who has been haunting our dreams since the start, Frida's appearance feels different, more connected to something, with even her body, hair, and clothing glitching out during our conversation with her, showing this weird constellation pattern. She mentions keeping an eye on us, and when she says that, the same eye we've been seeing plastered across all the T-stations, and when we shoot the barriers, briefly appears. So somehow Frida is watching us, either from beyond death, or maybe from somewhere deeper in the facility. When we wake up, we find ourselves in level 5, titled The Dead Internet. Right away, this place feels completely different from the dark tunnels and fire hazards we've been encountering. The walls are made up entirely of glass, revealing an expanse of stars outside, and looking up we can also see a planet just chilling out in the background. Some of the walls also show some imagery, one being a woman's silhouette and the other being a Chinese character, Shu, which translates roughly to emptiness or void, the meaning fitting the entirety of the facility as it itself feels void of life. Enemies in this area also take on a new form, holograms. They flicker and distort as holograms do, and touching them will do damage to your energy. They can't be harmed with your axe either, so shooting them is the only way to move forward. Further in, we find another note, and this time it's just entirely full of zeros that stretch off the page. Now, even though this area is pretty void of life, there are signs of it. We find trees and grass, and we can even hear crickets in the background in certain areas. Near the end, we also run into a familiar enemy. The eye guards, as I'm gonna call them, make their debut. And now we can actually kill them by shooting the eyeball at the top, along with the person on the bottom. Right behind this eye guard, we actually find the exit to the dead internet, and we also find Cynthia, who's trying to communicate with Aaron.
Stop. It's my turn. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound rude. It's Aaron who's guiding you, right? He's trying to communicate with me too. I just can't decipher the messages. Is he talking to you in your dreams? That makes sense. I haven't slept for a week now. Those astronauts you're looting, they came from Earth. I think that's obvious, but that means whatever this place is, it's not Earth. In hindsight, that should have been obvious too. Like, do you remember ever getting, paid since you worked here? You just keep going. I'm gonna stay here for now. I'm tired.
Maybe this is a dream too. Maybe there isn't a clear line between dreaming and wakefulness. You might have figured it out already, but the Employee of the Year wasn't a real person. Nothing on level 5 is real. The facade seems to be designed to do one thing, cover up the bottom. I guess she wasn't expecting me to set up tea tables along the way. That's where your next stop is, the actual bottom of the facility. I've been there. It's not a pretty sight, but that's where you're going to find the boss. Good luck.
So we aren't actually on Earth, which raises the question of the planet in the last level actually being Earth from space. Either way, like Aaron said, we've hit the bottom. It looks exactly like the underground city, just darker with more buildings falling apart and trash everywhere. At the start of the level, we also find another note from our mysterious author. I can't dig further than this. I tried. This is the bottom, the foundation. I was looking for answers, I guess, but I think I found something else down here. Empty husks of homes and a dead internet. Traces of destroyed communities. Where are these from? If you're reading these, none of your friends followed you down here either, right? Quite disappointing, honestly. I was hoping for more. Going deeper through the bottom, we eventually will stumble upon a familiar sight. Cafe Void. Same place where we started the game. Only now it's broken, hung up on display. Further ahead, it's pretty much the same destroyed buildings, dead astronauts, guards, and trash, until we finally reach the boss of the company.
What do we have here? You really came all the way down here, looking for answers? Human curiosity, I swear. That's what led all those astronauts to this planet too. And for what? It's not as exciting as you hope. You know, you humans left a lot of debris in our space. Satellites, machinery, used oxygen tanks, corpses of failed astronauts. All that debris formed this world, a planet made entirely of your trash. It's not Earth, but it's inherently human, right? This world even welcomed you from the beginning. You could have fit in nicely. You even made some friends. But you just had to keep digging. Well, so be it. I'm not going to hold you back. Now off with you. It's not like we're understaffed. Keep in mind though, this trash had to come from somewhere.
So yeah, big reveal. This whole time we've been walking on a planet completely made out of humanity's garbage. Everything we've seen, the wires, the data tunnels, the cities, are part of a system built from the junk that was shot into space. And whatever the boss is has sort of become this planet's core, an AI system that is replicating certain facets of humanity's cities. You can actually shoot the boss if you want, but it doesn't matter, it can't die, and all we can do is leave. Going to the right, we can find an elevator, and as we keep going, we end up revisiting every area of the game until we reach the underground city where Joseph is waiting for us.
Where have you been? Don't tell me you went all the way down. You must have seen a lot. Good for you, I guess. You probably discovered the company's big secret, too. I knew it for years now. In my previous life, I was probably one of those astronauts whose corpse you looted. When I put two and two together, it bothered me. But it's all the same, honestly, and I might be a better mechanic here than an astronaut on Earth. And even if that's not the case, both of these planets will die when the sun eventually burns out. Just joking. I don't know what you did down there, but the company sure didn't like it. The creatures raided the entire city. Your only option is the featureless maze, the one I was telling you about. The entrance is behind me to the west. Hope you find whatever you're looking for. Take care of yourself.
This dialogue from Joseph doesn't necessarily make sense in the moment, but further ahead we get more answers. Going into the maze, we are not able to get past the barrier that was blocking a bed, and when we sleep in it, we get our final encounter with Aaron. There really is nothing left for us here anymore, is there? The boss is right about something. These people are indeed our friends. Joseph might be a lost cause, but I hope Cynthia makes it. She got far without me being able to help her. This place is not home. Don't let it absorb you like it does with all the debris. The only thing between you and freedom is the featureless maze. You should be used to dungeons at this point, but I painted lines on the walls for you to follow. It's sort of a final gift from me. Thank you for trusting me. The featureless maze is the hardest level in the game, a final test that throws everything it can at you. Enemies, traps, and a confusing layout. As we wander deeper into the maze, we can eventually stumble upon a new note that answers a lot of questions we've been asking. I found this in my pocket when I woke up. I'm sure we used to be a good team. I wish I had any recollection of it. At this point, everything starts to make sense. Every character we've met was once an astronaut. Each of them died and was somehow reborn by this planet. Whether they're machines, reanimated flesh, or something in between is up for debate, but the question that I have is, are they really the same person? This idea is not new. A lot of games and even movies cover this concept. The idea, if we were to replicate our consciousness and put it into another body, would that really be us, or just an echo of who we once were? Here it's undeniable with Aaron not even remembering the people he once knew, the people he was sent here with. We also learn that every note we've found so far has been written by Aaron, who has been documenting his experience throughout the facility, so for us it's almost as if we are following in his footsteps. Towards the end of the maze, we do actually find Aaron lifeless on the ground next to one of those electrical traps that most likely caused his death. Next to him, we also discover his final note. Here's the last one. I couldn't find it anywhere, so I brute forced it. It worked. As a trade-off, I won't make it to the end. Hopefully it was worth it, if not for me, for the others. It's a shame Aaron had to die here, because just around the corner is the exit. As our character walks out, we take off our helmet, seeing Earth in the distance, along with a field of trash. You may also notice here that our world becomes filled with color, as we see the oceans of Earth, and even the land. Looking at our helmet one last time, our character shakes a little, and the game ends with a giant flash of light, and a countdown that ends with the noise that plays when we die. And that is the entirety of the game. And it's a lot to take in, but there is more. That code we got from the notes can be used in the continue option on the main menu. Putting in the code 07 Dead Zone 17 we got from Aaron's notes allows us to access level 404, the Dead Zone. This time, we start out in a building with 145 energy, and to our left we find a new note left by Aaron. She's out there, somewhere. The light coming from the mountain mine is my best bet. Going throughout this level is completely different from the facility. In fact, it's almost as if we are on Earth in a mountainous area. Going out of the starting area, we can actually see the light Aaron was talking about, and going even further, we find lots of abandoned cars. Getting towards the entrance of the mine, we can find another one of Aaron's notes that talks more about the facility. Trying to map out the facility in its entirety is impossible. I tried. So far, I thought level 6 was the bottom of this planet, and while that's true in a physical sense, I'd say you have to dig far deeper to get to the dead zone. You have to reach its subconscious. How do you even make a map of that? Yeah, you can't. The dead zone seems to be the company's trash bin, but as far as I'm concerned, everything else on this planet is made of trash. Well, almost everything. The actual difference is that the stuff that ended up here are things the company simply gave up on trying to absorb. So it deemed them trash and discarded them. However, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and I'm here for a reason. Aaron's purpose for being here isn't known as of this moment, but it must have something to do with the she that he mentioned in his first note. Going through these mines is kind of interesting. Not only are there essentially no threats, because almost every enemy is a hologram, but almost every enemy is actually facing away from the player. There is one enemy that I find stands out more than the rest, and it's this one that just stares off into the distance. It's almost like he's admiring the view in some capacity. Another interesting thing about these mines is at a certain point the walls from the dead internet start meshing into the mine, almost as if it's a combination of the two, or the mines were originally a part of the dead internet. Getting to the end of the mine, we find what Aaron was actually looking for, and it's Frida.
Aaron? Oh, sorry, I mistook you for someone else. I'm Frida. We haven't met before, but I might look familiar to you if you've met the Employee of the Year. She's not me, though. She's an AI that was trained on me. I was exiled here when the company replaced me with her. In their eyes, she's functionally the same as me. Anything the company doesn't find a use for ends up here, in the dead zone. Actually, it's kinda peaceful down here, even if I don't get many visitors. It's dead, but so is everything else on this planet. At least it's quiet down here. A little negative space can be quite magical, right? Maybe this is why people back on Earth enjoy discovering abandoned factories and cities. If you found your way down here, you probably found a way to escape back to Earth, right? I don't know why you came here, and you might not know it either, but I appreciate it. You really should be going though. You already spent more time in this world than it deserves.
Leaving the dead zone, we go back to the beginning of the game, and sleeping in the bed outside Cafe Void causes us to get a new ending. We see Earth fade away, and as our character looks down at the picture of his crew, it too fades away, along with the character, and the game ends. As of me recording the footage of Repose, this was all we had, but more recently, a new update was added to the game, adding a new note to the ending of the dead zone. The new note that we find at the end of the dead zone gives us a new save code, F377 Veins 5. Putting that in allows us to explore Cafe Void. Putting the code in spawns us right in front of Cafe Void, but this time we can't leave through the side due to it being blocked by cars. But you'll notice that the entrance to Cafe Void is actually open. Going inside, it looks exactly like when we were talking to Cynthia at the beginning of the game, but there's a giant hole in the wall, and going through we can eventually find a hole in the floor that drops us into level Veins. Immediately upon entering this new area, we can see patterns on the walls similar to the ones back in the lower parts of the wire hub. Along with this, we also find a new note that talks about using the light stick as a weapon for floating creatures. This expansion, to me, is not only a final level for the game, wrapping up different story beats, but it also experiments with a couple new enemy types as well. The first new enemy type we encounter is a giant floating eyeball that can be killed by running into it with our light stick. We also run into enemies with shields that we have to shoot before hitting with our axe. This level can also be very confusing to the point where the map will actually tell us the direction we need to go in order to progress. Getting towards the end of the veins, we can also see the shoe symbol from the dead internet as the environment gets darker and darker. Getting to the end of the level, we get the final ending of the game along with a final interaction with Cynthia.
Oh, it's you. I thought you guys left already. It's good, at least you didn't. It seems there's a reason why astronauts like us keep coming to this planet. I collected scraps of more recent data coming from Earth and deciphered as much as I could. Astronauts leave Earth because it is no longer inhabitable. I imagine they weren't happy to find out that this planet is in kind of the same state, filled with trash and a dead internet. I sure wasn't happy about it. But where else can you go? It's hard to make a comparison, though, considering the company got rid of our memories when we landed here. And it's easier to accept your reality if you don't know any better, right? Otherwise, Joseph wouldn't be this happy tightening the same screws every day. I reached the boss shortly after you did. I was afraid because I expected it to be evil, but I guess being evil is an inherently human trait. Algorithms are incapable of that. That being said, this planet is beyond saving. Earth might be beyond saving too, but I can't tell for sure from the data I gathered. I worked out a way to shut the company down without blowing the planet up. The debris from the explosion would just form another planet. This trash won't go anywhere, but at least we can prevent more humans from coming here. We can't leave. The company already absorbed a big chunk of our biology. Remember that I told you on your first day that I'm here if you need help or just someone to talk to? Sorry that this is the best I could ever offer. Trading in noise for silence. So, are you ready?
couple things to note from this ending. 1, Evangelion reference. Let's go! Yeah! And 2, the word alom is shown, which in Hungarian means dream. The entirety of Repose really does feel like a dream. In fact, the word repose actually means sleep, or a state of rest. Everything in this game is an imitation of something, whether it's the buildings, or the enemies, or even the core, or the boss, whatever you want to call them. Everything is most likely an imitation of another thing. And even you are an imitation of someone who was once alive. And in a way, it's almost like you yourself are the trash that was sent to this planet. Now, while as much as I'd love to say that there's more to this game, that's pretty much it. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Overall, Repose is just a really interesting game. It's got a cool art style, interesting creatures, and a world that really just makes you want to explore it. The idea of a planet made entirely of trash that is being kind of formed by an AI system is just a really interesting idea, especially with how quote-unquote advanced AI is getting nowadays. So go support Repose, go check it out, even though I just spoiled the entirety of the game, and all the secrets and everything. And go check out Attila's Twitter and Instagram where he's posting stuff on a new game called Metaxia, which just looks really fucking cool. I've also been streaming over on Twitch, that's in the description. Come hang out. I make stupid jokes. And sometimes dress up like Toy Chica. So yeah, that's all from me, and if you were wondering, yes, Joseph still is sticking his hand in and out of that wall. I don't really know what to do at this point.
Dude, get your hand out of the wall. You've been in there for like I don't even know how long you've been in there, but there can't be that much in there.
You have a wolf pack grenade? I'm just saying, I have a wolf pack grenade. This could be really funny. This could be really funny, Reppy.
Fuck, we're not gonna make
I'm gonna throw it at that.
again. Fucking do it.
Alright, cool.
Fuck that shit.
Hey, bitch!
I don't think that did enough.
I thought the.